Greetings and salutations. Larson Halleck here, and welcome back to Kung Fail. And it looks like we're talking about yet another white ninja today. Why do the mysterious shinobi of Old Nippon have such a grasp on the psyches of dorky, pencil-necked white men? I have no idea, but I find them amusing, so let's hop right to it. Antony Cummins. Who is Antony Cummins, might I ask? From Manchester, UK. He is a historian with a master's in archaeology. He has appeared on the History Channel and other documentaries. His academic credentials are legit, but too bad his ninjutsu and kenjutsu credentials are not so much. Mr. Cummins is in fact a martial arts fraud, using his legitimate intelligence and academic credentials to parlay into a lucrative side career, hawking martial arts BS. As something of a failed academic myself, I must admit some admiration for the sheer audacity of it, but as a martial arts teacher, I cannot approve. To illustrate the depths of his fraud, we can look at his writing and videos. First of all, let us look at his book, The Book of the Ninja. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that Antony is allowed to use the term ninja or samurai. He is English, so shouldn't that be Book of the Hero? Antony is using Japanese primary sources to write this, and by that I mean he's hiring translators since he himself does not speak Japanese. Which you would think you need to do if he was positing to be an archaeologist and historical researcher on Japanese history and culture. Anyway, in the book, Antony posits two theses right at the start. A. Ninjas were recruited from lower-ranking samurai and other nobles. And B. Ninjas originate in China. Neither of those are true. Ninjas, who incidentally didn't really exist at all before the 1400s, were in fact almost entirely peasants who utilized methods of irregular warfare, assassination, poisoning, spying, guerrilla tactics. In fact, they would be recruited as mercenaries, hitmen, or what are essentially sponsored terrorists by samurai clans, specifically to do the dirty work that would be beneath the aristocratic samurai. As for China, there's a grain of truth to that, in that Chinese military men like Sun Tzu, in his Art of War, described tactics that would later be used by the ninjas, such as the honey trap, assassinations, and using fire as a weapon of terror. In fact, the Art of War was very popular amongst ninja groups and would later inspire the Bansenshukai, a book in 2 editions written by the Iga and Koka families about the training of ninjas. This book posits to be the first complete English translation of the Bansenshukai. Antony spends several pages debating whether it should be Bansenshukai or Man-senshukai. It's the first one only. All things considered, whoever did the actual translating did an okay job. The book does explain accurately that ninjas were primarily lightly armed spies and assassins who would not be going toe-to-toe with samurai or any other kind of soldier. Since this book really isn't Cummins' own brainchild, it's alright I suppose. But if you want to see crap, you can look at his videos.
Right guys, hello. Okay, you'll have to excuse the informalness of this. I'm burnt to a crisp, I'm in Japan and it is June and it is roasting.
Yeah, you're really sunburned there, buddy. Insert Anglo joke here.
And one thing that I've always said is I like Koryu. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a part of Japanese cultural heritage. That is an excellent thing. And I think...
Wow, what a trivially obvious statement.
You've never now... That is accurate. I have never really gone through a Koryu training system.
Well, I should just end the video here, shouldn't I?
That fighting with bladed weapons is extremely dangerous, extremely fast, and most likely will always come out with an injury.
I will admit he's not wrong.
He's seen my videos, because that's too coincidental. He said, Anthony, if my founder from the 1600s had a time machine and came to see me, he would shake his head and say, what are you doing? He said it would be nothing like the original. He said, Anthony, there is no way what we do as Japanese Koryu is practical sword fighting by samurai.
Oh, we'll see that in a second. So here's Anthony in his traditional samurai cardigan sweater.
Is drawing in a crowd. Now, I'm out in the countryside, guys, so I can't really have my sword. So just imagine it's got a scabbard with it. But if you draw normally and you're inside of a group of people, you're going to start hitting everyone. So...
Yeah, it's a damn shame the samurai didn't have, you know, some kind of like short swords or knives they could use in a crowded area.
Basically, the text says, take your sword and you take it and you put it between your legs, blade out. And then what you do is you reach down and you draw vertically up.
What?
Basically, the text says, take your sword and you take it and you put it between your legs, blade out. And then what you do is you reach down and you draw vertically up.
Oh yeah, you just pull that steel pommel right up towards your vulnerable chin.
So in my understanding, you'll take this out, it'll go between your legs, and you'll still be walking, and you'll draw while walking.
No, I don't believe any samurai ever put his sword between his legs like he was riding a stick horse and then duck walked around before drawing his sword. Did you even think about what you were bullshitting up, Tony? Also, to go back to the hypothetical samurai actually doing this in a crowd, I'm pretty sure his enemies would notice him putting his sword betwixt his thighs and waddling about, which kind of nullifies the whole idea of doing a smooth and discreet draw of the sword.
I thought, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that. With Andrew's version, you'll put the scabbard back because you couldn't really walk with it and then, you know, leave it there and fight. You'd have to push it back before you start fighting. Or with my version, you throw it to the side.
Who is Andrew, you might ask? Well, at the time this video was made, Cummins has apparently stepped away from teaching full-time, handing that duty off to Andrew Throburn, a man who has received hamon, expulsion and excommunication from a kendo school, the most serious sanction that a martial arts school can issue. But speaking of drawing the katana, run that by me again? Okay, I don't know if you people noticed, but he is repeatedly drawing the sword with the cutting edge of the blade going towards his body. You know, you don't need to be a kenjutsu master for this. This is cutting food 101. I'm not even joking here. This is a quick way to disembowel yourself. I mean, when I was a Boy Scout and I was given a pocket knife, the first thing they told me is that the cutting edge always goes away from you. Oh god, they're all fucking doing it. And then the last draw technique in this video is what to do if somebody tries to grab your sword handles. What is the secret technique you use? Oh, you just punch him in the face with your other hand. Then of course you pull your sword out with the edge facing you. Antony conveys his kenjutsu mastery to this noodle-armed Dorcas Malorcas, who punches about 3 feet to the side of where his opponent would be, but, you know, he doesn't swing the edge of the sword towards himself, so I think he's better than Antony, to be honest. And finally, we have the katana pig test. It's not the last video he made, but it is the last one I downloaded, so deal with it.
Hi everyone, my name's Antony Cummins and I'm about to test a katana on this piece of ham here.
So as you can see, Antony has put this target right up against the wall. I sure hope you weren't planning on cutting through the ham, Antony.
So this is my original katana. It's between 1550 and 1650 direct.
What the fuck you. Fuck you. Ham. He's cutting ham. I really have to ask what kind of historian would use an actual 500-year-old antique sword to cut goddamn ham with. I double majored in history and anthropology, and as a fellow academic, Anthony, please stop.
Cuts that cut all the way through is because they're doing a specific thing. They're trying to cut.
Oh my god, Tatsu? Yes, that is in fact Toshishiro Obata, the writer of the kendo manual The Naked Blade, and the actor who most of you know as Tatsu from the Ninja Turtles movies. He is a real-life kendo master, unlike Antony Cummins. So here's Anthony doing some kendo practice. He gives some halfway decent advice on using small, precise movements, and that goodwill is immediately negated by how he rubs up the entire length of the sword. You're supposed to treat the bakken as if it were a real sword, genius. You don't run your goddamn hand up and down the wooden sword, where the blade would be. In fact, a running theme in this video is Antony giving long, solid strokes up and down the length of that wood. I don't mean to insinuate that he's gay, that would be very sophomoric of me. Instead, I'm going to insinuate that he has no idea what the hell he's doing, kendo-wise. As you can see here, he's clearly doing moves with his hand halfway up the blade. You see, it's not merely Anthony sublimating his desire to have a big stiff piece of wood in his hands, it's just him being a dipshit. Oh, and here's Anthony yet again pulling the edge of the sword towards his face. And again. And again. Well, that's all I can stands and I can't stands no more. Antony Cummins. Basically a living example of the phenomenon that if you have a British accent, dumbass Americans will automatically assume that your IQ is 25 points higher than it actually is. And you can insert joke about any of these assholes here. Just take your pick. I expected this from my own country, but I'm still a bit saddened that Nippon would fall for this idiocy. Oh, who am I kidding? 6 out of 10 white guy with an accent. I'd be surprised if the entirety of Asia wasn't sucking his dick, literally and figuratively. I'm Larson Halleck. Fuck this shit. And now, a word from our sponsors. Hello, are you a fan of Larson Halleck and the Barbaric Gentleman? Of course you are, otherwise you wouldn't be watching. Would you like to help the channel grow? Would you like to help me out? If so, here's how you can. You can go to patreon.com/LarsonHalleck and join the ranks of these illustrious heroes. You can also go to www.paypal.me/LarsonHalleck to also donate some money. You can also buy my book. The Patreon, the PayPal, and the link to my book are all found in the video description. You can also follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. I no longer advertise my Gab because Gab sucks. Otherwise, enjoy, keep watching the videos, and spread the word.